I'm Len Clark of Irish 101.
And I'm Phil Houck of Fighting Irish Preview.
And this is Irish 101 Game Day,
USC edition.
Irish 101 Game Day is sponsored by the Notre Dame Football Heritage Project. Commemorate your first Notre Dame game with the Notre Dame Football Heritage Project certificate and help Notre Dame journalism students cover the Notre Dame Navy game in Dublin next season. Visit mysportsheritage.com. Irish 101 is also sponsored by Irish Illustrated. Become a subscriber today on the web at irishillustrated.com. And by Indiana Dunes Tourism. Why not extend your Notre Dame football weekend with a trip to the nation's newest national park? For information, visit indianadunes.com.
Here's what's coming up on Irish 101 Game Day.
This evening at Notre Dame Stadium, the 9th-ranked Fighting Irish, with a record of 4-1, will take on their arch-rival, the Trojans of USC. Phil, USC comes into Notre Dame Stadium unranked, but throw the records out. This is Notre Dame USC.
Well, USC has plenty of firepower, Len, that they can make life miserable for any team in the country, and they intend to do that with the Irish tonight. I see 4 keys in this game, and every key starts with the letter T. First of all, trenches. Notre Dame has an advantage, I think, on the offensive line and the defensive line. They need to take advantage of that. Team chemistry. The Irish have better team chemistry. They have come out in every game this season and done really what was expected of them. They've got a winning tradition they've really built over the last 3 years, going 25-6, a great record for the Irish. Good team chemistry. Troy Pride needs to have a big game tonight. He's been quietly efficient this year, but against that 3-headed monster of receivers that USC is going to bring to bear, he needs to play really well. And finally, turnovers. The Irish are second in the country in getting turnovers. That's good news. And for the USC, it's been bad news. They're one of the worst in the country at turning the ball over. The Irish need to take advantage of that advantage.
Phil, defense has been the big strong point of Notre Dame going into the past couple of ball games, but Brian Kelly early in the week talked about how Notre Dame should play the USC offense.
This is a bit of a different offensive system where large splits, they are keeping pressure on you. It's a very fast tempo. They are keeping pressure on you in that they are looking to push the ball vertically down the field much more than perimeter quicks out and run after catch. This is a big play offense, and if you are short in the box, tackle to tackle, they'll run the football. They had over 230, 40 yards against Washington. Now, it didn't materialize in terms of the scores they wanted, but that's where you have to decide how to play them vertically, and then how are you going to play them? Are you going to play them equal numbers in the running game? And if you are, you've got to be able to hold up in terms of getting them off the field.
The Notre Dame USC series takes on a special meaning with the history and tradition. Here are a few comments from Notre Dame players on the rivalry with the Trojans.
It's a great rivalry. Everyone's amped up for this week, obviously. But I think just coming from two schools, there's a lot of tradition, a lot of heart, a lot of passion, and coming to a school like this gives you even more pride.
Each and every week, every team poses a challenge to us. Every team's coming in to try to take something that we want, and that's a W. So, we're working hard to do everything we can to prevent that. Not more juice, but it's very special. I mean, you think about the tradition, you think about so many amazing games they've played, so many amazing players that have been in the game, and it's just, I'm very grateful to be able to play in a rivalry like this. And
it's one of the best rivalries in all sports, so it's just a great tradition between two great programs.
It's a historic rivalry. We get to play every year, alternating back and forth, our place, their place. Always a good crowd, always a lot of excitement surrounding it. So it's definitely a privilege to be a part of a game like this.
With a preview of today's opponent, let's go inside the Len Zone with the voice of the USC Trojans, Pete Arbogast.
I'm Len Clark of Irish 101 and Irish Illustrated. Tonight at Notre Dame Stadium, the 9th-ranked Fighting Irish of Notre Dame with a record of 4-1 will take on the 3-2 Trojans of USC. For insight and analysis on the Trojans, here's radio announcer for USC, Pete Arbogast.
Hey, Len, welcome to Venice Beach, California. It's 70 degrees. The water temperature is 70 degrees. Got to get my last body surfing in before we hop on the plane to South Bend, where it's not going to be that warm. USC's football team right now, they're kind of a work in progress. Quarterback situation, of course, second-string quarterback Keaton Slovis is in. He looked great in his first outing, but when they went to BYU on the road, not so good. And then he got his head clonked and had to come out in favor of Matt Fink. It looks like Slovis will be able to go in this one. He's got some really good running backs. The offensive line has been holding up for him pretty well. They've only allowed 6 sacks in 5 games, which is pretty good because he gets rid of the ball very quickly to a series of wide receivers who are all probably going to be playing in the NFL in Pittman and St. Brown and Tyler Vaughns. The running back situation is good. They can run the ball, and they do like to run the ball with all 3 running backs, really. Marquise Stepp, the kid out of Indianapolis. You've also got Stephen Carr and Vi Malapei, and they're all different kinds of backs that like to run. Defensively, the front 7, pretty good. They just haven't been tackling very well. They put a lot of pressure on, but sometimes their lack of ability to bring guys down on first contact has been lacking, and USC is going to have to fix that over this last bye week. I think maybe they worked on that more than anything else. The secondary has been playing better than everybody expected them to, and they get a couple of guys back, including a key safety in Talanoa Hufanga, their leading tackler, before he got hurt a couple of weeks ago, and also Elijah Griffin, who will start at one of the cornerback spots. Return game's fine. The kicking game is good. They're a good team. They're not a great team. They're a good team. They figure they're going to be really good next year. If everybody comes back, they'll probably have as many as 18 starters returning. And keep in mind, it's SC and Notre Dame, and you know, when those two get together, strange things happen sometimes. Notre Dame fans know that only too well. So enjoy the game, fight on, beat the Irish, got to go body surfing. See you in a while.
Ever since Bonnie Rockney convinced her football coach husband that it would be nice to every other year finish the season with a game in sunny Southern California, Notre Dame and Southern Cal have squared off 89 times in what many consider to be the greatest of all intersectional rivalries. It's been a fiercely contested back-and-forth series, but from 1983 to 1995, Notre Dame never lost. The run started in the 3rd year of the Jerry Faust era with a 27-6 win keyed by a 122-yard rushing effort by Alan Pinkett. Jerry Faust's teams continued the success in 84 and 85, including a 37-3 rout of the Trojans in Faust's last season. That ushered in the Lou Holtz era, and the Irish closed Lou's first season with a thriller, keyed by clutch play by quarterback Steve Bierlein, future Heisman Trophy winner Tim Brown, and John Carney's game-winning field goal as time expired. That win signaled to Notre Dame Nation that better days were coming. The wins over USC continued, and the 1988 game was number 1 versus number 2, with both teams undefeated in the regular season finale. Tony Rice and Rocket Ishmael sparked the Irish early, and then Mark Green and the ND defense took over as the Irish cruised to a 27-10 win. Over the next 5 years, both teams were usually ranked, but Lou Holtz continued his mastery over the Trojans. The Irish then entered the 1994 game a subpar 6-4, and the Trojans were heavily favored. timely passing from Ron Paulus, and a good day on the ground from Lee Becton gave the Irish a statistical edge, but special teams mistakes were costly, and the Irish had to settle for a 17-17 tie. So the not losing streak continued, sort of. In 1995, the Irish won again, but the streak, finally for USC, came to an end, almost fittingly, in Lou Holtz's last game, when in 1996, USC prevailed in overtime, 27-20. Overall, the Irish hold a 46-37 edge in the series with 5 ties, and nearly all of that edge was built during the Irish win streak from 1983 through 1995. For Fighting Irish Preview and Irish 101, I'm Phil Houck. Lent today is just important in terms of recruiting, with many recruits on campus for tonight's big game.
This weekend, obviously, Notre Dame taking on USC at home really presents the best recruiting opportunity of the fall for Notre Dame. So right from the top, not a prospect, high school prospect per se, but Ohio State safety transfer Isaiah Pryor. Looking back on his recruitment, Notre Dame was a leader at one point, really close to getting his commitment. Now that he's transferring, Notre Dame being one of the stops he's going to take in the coming weeks and months while looking for his next fit. Isaiah Pryor, a former top 100 safety. Obviously, that's the position Notre Dame needs to build depth and talent at, more so than probably any position on the roster. So keep an eye open for that. We've got plenty of content about that situation at Irish Illustrated. Both a long list of 2020 and 2021 commits will be on hand this weekend. Really a lot of just the most important top of the board 2021 prospects as well. At the wide receiver position, Deion Colsey out of Georgia and Lorenzo Styles out of Ohio, both of those guys being, possibly the number 1 and 2 guys at wide receiver. Rocco Spindler, a guy who, at Irish Illustrated, we look at as probably a 5-star prospect on both sides of the ball, offensive line and defensive line. Garrett Dellinger, his teammate and offensive tackle on campus. Those names I've mentioned are only some of the long list of important recruits on campus this weekend at Notre Dame. Check out our previews at Irish Illustrated for sort of that full list and an in-depth look at the recruiting this weekend.
Dylan Murphy of Irish Express. You've been running this business for a while, making a lot of Notre Dame fans happy, bringing them to the big games. Tell us about it.
Well, yeah, we knew there was a lot of opportunity here. It's just an experience that everybody wants to partake in, and if you don't know what you're doing, or if you're kind of new to the situation, you're not exactly sure what to do to take the most advantage of the day, we take care of all that for you. So our tagline is the Chicago way to game day. If you're coming through Chicago, you live in Chicago, and you want to just make the most of your game day experience, check out Irish Express. We'll take care of everything for you.
I imagine people fly into Chicago and use your services, so sometimes you get fans from the other team. Maybe
we do. Visiting fans are welcome, I will say. We've been having a wonderful time. I think one of the greatest things about the Irish fan base is that it's so welcoming to our opponents. It really, if an opponent is really just an Irish fan who hasn't quite made it there yet. So I think we can win them over through kindness, and then someday they'll start coming for just in their own games.
Absolutely. So tell us what fans can expect on a normal day. How many hours before game time will they arrive and all that?
Yeah, so it really depends on the day. It depends on the kickoff time. We have been doing lately for the night games, we'll run 2 waves. So we open the doors up in Chicago around 9:30 for the first wave. We'll get you out the door by 10:30. You're on the bus for a couple of hours. Once we get to Indiana, we'll have a bar there for you. On the bus inside Indiana. And then for another hour and a half, you'll enjoy the ride. You arrive here about anywhere between, for that situation, about 5.5 hours to 6 hours before the game, so you got a nice long time to tailgate. We do tours when possible. Some students will come by and just ask if they want to take a tour, and we'll point them out in that direction. We also do, satellite TV. We do music, we have games going on, we have a full hot breakfast, full hot lunch, we have a full bar being served by a fine company helping us out there. So yeah, everything's taken care of for you. Really just show up with your game ticket and we'll take care of the rest.
Dylan, how can people get a hold of you and find out more about your service?
Well, we're on the internet. It's nice and simple. IrishExpress.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on the website. So.
Well, I can testify that all of your fans that you brought here are having a really good time here today, and they're looking forward to a big day of Irish football.
This has been Irish 101 Game Day USC Tradition, coming up tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The 9th-ranked Fighting Irish, with a record of 4-1, will take on the 3-2 Trojans of USC. Irish 101 Game Day is made possible by the Notre Dame Football Heritage Project, on the web at mysportsheritage.com, also by Irish Illustrated, and by Indiana Dunes Tourism. Extend your Notre Dame visit with a trip to the nation's newest national park. Visit IndianaDunes.com.